Don't stop me now, I'm having such a good time. Da, 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 da. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just listening to one of my favorite songs from one of my favorite singers. One of my favorite singers is a man named Freddie Mercury, and he was the lead singer for a rock band named Queen. Maybe you have heard of them. I really admire Freddie Mercury. When I say that I admire him, I respect him a lot for the things that he achieved in his life. I admire Freddie Mercury because he was an amazing singer, and he both wrote and sang some of the best and most popular rock songs in history. Maybe he was the best rock star who ever lived. What about you? Who do you admire? This person could be anyone: a professional athlete, a rock star, a scientist, an actor, or even one of your teachers. In today's lesson, you're going to write the story of the life of a person that you admire. This type of story is called a biography. Before you start writing a biography, you have to organize your ideas very well. First, you're going to brainstorm what you already know about this person. Then, you're going to use the internet to do research to find out more information about this person. Finally, you're going to use all of the notes that you collected to write this person's biography. Before you get started, you should take a look at exercise 17. Exercise 17 is super important. It will help you to understand what information you need for your biography, and it will help you to organize your ideas later. As I have said before, a biography is the story of somebody else's life. When you write this biography, you should include information about these things: the date and place of that person's birth, some information about that person's childhood. Someone's childhood is the period of time when they were a child. You must also write about this person's accomplishments. When we talk about a person's accomplishments, we talk about the things that they did or achieved during their lives. Finally, if this is a historical person or someone who is no longer alive, you should include some information about the date and place of this person's death. So now you are ready for step 1 of how to write a good biography. Let me give you an example of how you can organize your ideas. I'm going to do this about Freddie Mercury, who is the famous rock star that I talked about before. First, I want to think about if I know anything about where or when Freddie Mercury was born. I know that Freddie Mercury was born on September 5th, 1946. Then, I want to think about some information related to the period of time when Freddie Mercury was a child. I also might want to think about his education. For example, where he went to school, or if he was a good student or not, or perhaps some special talent that he learned when he was a kid. In this case, I know that Freddie Mercury was already talented when he was a kid, because he first learned to play the piano as a child in India. Next, I want to think about the important things that Freddie Mercury achieved in his life. One of Freddie Mercury's biggest accomplishments was that he created the group Queen and he became their lead singer. Finally, I should think about why Freddie Mercury was important. I also know this one for sure. I know that Freddie Mercury wrote and sang some of the most popular rock songs in history. After you complete step 1, you should have a lot of information about the person that you admire. However, it's probably not enough information to write a biography. In step 2, you will have to do research. When you do research, you want to find information that you don't already know, or you want to find the answers to some specific questions. To make my life easier, I wrote down some of the research questions that I want to answer later. First, I wrote a few questions about Freddie Mercury's childhood. My questions are, did Freddie Mercury have any brothers or sisters? And how old was Freddie Mercury when he started to play music? Again, these are questions that I couldn't answer when I was brainstorming. I also have a few questions about Freddie Mercury's accomplishments, like, what are the names of Freddie Mercury's most popular songs? And did Freddie Mercury ever perform any music with other popular rock stars? The internet is a big place, and when you do research on the internet, it's very important to ask specific questions like these. If you take some time to write specific questions, it will make your life a lot easier, and you will do research a lot quicker. Let me show you what happens when you ask the internet one of your research questions. I asked the internet, did Freddie Mercury have any brothers or sisters? And immediately I got the answer. He has a sister, whose name is Kashmira Bursara. Here's another example. I asked the internet, what are the names of Freddie Mercury's most popular songs? And then I got all this information from the internet. So now, when I write my biography of Freddie Mercury, I can include the names of some of his and Queen's most popular songs. Sometimes it won't be this easy to find answers to your research questions, and you will have to be prepared for situations like this. Let me give you an example. For the question, did Freddie Mercury perform any music with other popular rock stars, there are lots of different results. So in these situations, you might have to spend a little more time looking for information. When we look for information on different websites, we should only use websites where we know for sure that the information we find is true. If you are not sure if the information you have found is true or false, you can ask your teacher or another adult for help. I'm really proud of myself because I brainstormed lots of information about Freddie Mercury, and then I did some research to look for the information that I didn't already know. And now I have all of this and more information in my notes. So how do I organize this and write an interesting biography? Well, first, you can read an example of a great biography in your textbook. It's in the reading lesson, and it's a biography of J.K. Rowling. You might remember that J.K. Rowling is the author of the Harry Potter book series. Now, let me give you some ideas of how to organize your biography in general. I suggest that you divide your biography into 4 different paragraphs. Each paragraph will talk about a different aspect of that person's life. In the first paragraph, you can write about the circumstances of that person's birth and explain in general why that person is important. The second paragraph will be all about that person's childhood. You can also include information that is relevant about their education and family. Then comes the third paragraph. This is the biggest, longest, and maybe the most important paragraph in the biography because it will talk about the person's early accomplishments, as well as some difficulties that that person had in achieving some of their first accomplishments. In the fourth and final paragraph, you can write about this person's more recent accomplishments if they are still alive. And if they are no longer alive, you can write about the circumstances of how they died. Finally, all good biographies have a conclusion. This is where you remind the reader why you are writing this biography and why this person was important. Now you're ready to get to work on the biography of a person that you admire. Enjoy learning all about this person's life and enjoy writing the biography. Good luck!